Could be the last show that we record all year with the Sabres alive for a playoff spot. Sabres, Rangers, Leafs, Panthers, Islanders, Caps. We'll preview them all coming up here on Locked On Sabres.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And thanks for making us your Sabre podcast of choice. And this episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/NHL60 and use the code NHL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. We got 3 games to preview tonight. We're going to go in on all 3 because the Sabres need results to go their way. And they have not been getting the out-of-town help as of late, but they are going to need it from the out-of-town scoreboard on Monday night. And they're going to need to take care of their own business. So Sabres and Rangers, Panthers and Maple Leafs, Islanders and Capitals. We're going to look at all 3 games today on the show. If you want to get involved with the show, at Locked On Sabres, the best way to do that on Twitter, or search us on YouTube, search Locked On Sabres. Easiest way to get us there. And then any reply or question or comment will be monitoring in the comment section. Did I see anything that I wanted to bring up on the show today? Let me look back to our most previous episode on, I think there was a YouTube comment I wanted to look at. Where was it? Here we go. This is from McDonald. Their weakness has their weakness as a team, like they're weak, not like strong, has always been a problem. Many of their offensive players only want to play offense and not defense. For this reason, that's why we need more two-way players. Also, please, for the sake, get some players with a mean streak in them. So the complaint you'll hear very often with the Sabres, I will throw a stat out for you. The Sabres have the fewest hits per game in the NHL this season. Might sound like a problem. I will say, though, the teams around them that don't have many hits are some of the best teams in the league, like Carolina and Edmonton. And the teams at the top of the league in terms of hits per game are some of the worst teams in the league. Why is that? It's pretty easy to figure out. When you're hitting the other team, you don't have the puck. So the teams that are at the bottom of the league in hits per game, have the fewest, are teams that, yeah, they'll get labeled soft, but it's because they have the puck. The other team doesn't. I'd rather have the puck, personally. So this matchup with the New York Rangers, it's not an easy one. It's at Madison Square Garden. Now, yes, the Sabres have been better on the road this year than they have been at home, but I'm still choosing to believe that you'd rather be playing at home. Sabres results have been a little bit unlucky. Some goaltender luck has gone against them at home this season. They are playing Igor Shesterkin. The Rangers have announced that Shesterkin is going to start in goal. So they're getting as hard a matchup as is possible on this Monday night. So they'll have to find a way to beat one of the best goaltenders in hockey. They've played 2 games against the Rangers in the last little bit. Both have been low-scoring affairs. And they've gotten goaltending of their own in both of those games. But Shesterkin only played one of the game. Halak played the other. But he was good against the Sabres in his only meeting with the Sabres this year so far. 32 saves on 33 shots against, in a win on March 11th. So lineup news, there's really not much in this game to go on. Everything is pretty much the same from the Sabres end of things, but just as a refresher for you, Casey Middlestat is again going to be centering the top line with Alex Tuck and Jeff Skinner. Tage Thompson will be on the wing on the second line with Dylan Cousins and Jordan Greenway. I got a bet that pertains to that line in my sneaky good bets coming up in just a minute here. Tyson Jost will be centering JJ Peterka and Jack Quinn. Peyton Krebs centering Okposo and Girgensons. And the defense pairings have been the same really for a long time here. Now, the only lineup news to give you on the Sabres front, Devon Levi is going to start again. Levi they've been using him up. As the #1 goaltender. Now, the one question I'll just throw out there, my guess is he will not play Tuesday night against the Devils, regardless of whether the Sabres are alive or not. But I will say Don Granato repeatedly has expressed that he wants to treat Levi like the number one goaltender, and we're seeing that in action. Now, Levi, if he was your number one and a veteran, you might play him back-to-back nights where you're trying to stay alive in the playoffs. Winnipeg, for instance, Connor Hellebuck is their number one. And if they were in this same situation where they needed to win out to make it 4 games in 5 nights, they might play Hellebuck all 4 games, or at least 3. And I'm wondering how many Levi gets here. Your logic would tell you 2, but I might want to keep the door open to he plays 3 of these 4. I don't know which he'd play the back-to-back, but I think he might end up getting 3 in. We'll see. So that's all you got on the Sabres front for lineup news. And then when it comes to the New York Rangers, we already told you about Shesterkin being between the pipes. Otherwise, you've got your typical lines, a couple of guys out of the lineup. Actually, really, they're all healthy now, actually, the Rangers. Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Patrick Kane up top, Vincent Trocheck, Vladimir Tarasenko, Artemi Panarin. And then they have a kid line going with Philip Cheadle, Capo Caco, and Alex Lafreniere. Fourth line, Barclay Goodrow, Tyler Mott, and Jimmy Vesey. It's a deep, deep forward group, a great forward group. Defense pairings, Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren, K'Andre Miller, Jacob Trouba, Nico Mikkola, and Braden Schneider. This is a fantastic team. They are a Stanley Cup contender. They are complete from top to bottom. So that's what you got coming for the Rangers. The Rangers are favored in this game, and that is where we'll launch into my sneaky good bets for Sabres and Rangers before we get to some of the out-of-town games to preview. So, starting with my number one bet of the night, the Sabres on the money line to win outright. Sabres plus 195 to win this game. So you will almost double your money if you were to bet the Sabres in this one. Now, I'm going to go with some of the splits on this one. A lot of the money, the bets, are on the Rangers. 86% of the bets, but not as much of the money. So I guess in a small way, the sharp money a little bit is on the Sabres more so than the total number of bets. So I'm going to fade the public here, but also go lean towards the sharp money just a little bit. And I'm going to go Sabres on the money line at plus 195. To win this game. They've been playing fantastic with their backs against the wall, needing to win to keep the season alive. When they show some desperation as of late, they look unstoppable. They just beat one of the best teams in hockey in the Carolina Hurricanes, a team I think is better than the Rangers. They get a night in between to rest, Levi back between the pipes. I think they can beat this Rangers team. And they've proven they could that they could hang with this Rangers team. So I've got the Sabres, especially when it's 2-1. If it was straight up, I would never take the Sabres. I would take the Rangers. But money line being plus 195, I'm going with Buffalo. Second, this is even though it's my second listed bet, this is my favorite bet of the night in the league in sports for the night. Jordan Greenway, anytime goal scorer. Now, I'm almost stunned that these odds are this long. Greenway at plus 600. He has 3 goals in his last 5 games. And as I ran through the lines earlier, he's playing in the top 6. Greenway is going to be playing with Dylan Cousins and Tage Thompson. We'll never see better line mates for Jordan Greenway than that. He'll clean up some dirty goal or it'll hit him off a shin and go in. I think plus 600 for Jordan Greenway is unbelievable odds. So I am all in on Greenway. I love that bet for tonight's game against the New York Rangers, and I will be all over that. And then my third and final bet, I've got Shesterkin over 28 saves. The Sabres have been generating shots. And in fact, I mentioned as earlier, the Shesterkin game that he played against the Sabres on March 11th, he saw 33 shots, turned 32 away. Plus 104 are these odds for over 28. You got to find it in the alt saves. I like it. I think the Sabres will get 30-plus shots in this game. They often do. And I think Shesterkin is a good enough goaltender to not give up 5 or 6 like the Sabres can put on a team. He's too good a goaltender. So I see this being like a 3-2 game, a 4-3 game, and the Sabres generating between 32 and 35 shots. And if that's the case, then you're going to be hitting this over for Igor Shesterkin. So my 3 sneaky good bets of the night. Sabres money line plus 195. Greenway anytime goal scorer plus 600. And Shesterkin over 28 saves plus 104. Those are my sneaky good bets over at FanDuel Sportsbook. And we could actually leap right from there into telling you more about FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook. So that's where you want to make all those odds that I just gave you are courtesy of FanDuel. You can only find those at FanDuel. Sometimes you'll find worse odds at other sites. So don't even risk it. Head over to FanDuel. And it's the perfect time to be downloading FanDuel. You've got baseball right now, grand slams, no hitters. You've got, of course, the NBA playoffs starting up with the play-in tournament. Hockey playoffs are approaching. It's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And that's also because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked on to sign up. Place your first bet. You get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you do not win. You could bet on Aaron Judge to pick up where he left off with a home run. You could go a pitcher over on strikeouts, a goalie over on saves, like I just told you, or or an NBA player over on 3-pointers. So don't miss out your chance to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/locked on to sign up. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. 2 other games to preview for you on this night, which is very important to the Sabres. Here's a very simple way to put it. To survive till Tuesday in the playoff race, the Sabres have to gain points on either Florida or the Islanders. If the Panthers win in regulation, they need to gain a point somehow on the Islanders. If the Islanders win in regulation, then the Islanders will finish above the Sabres, and the Sabres will have to gain on Florida. 2 wins, a win by the Islanders and a win by the Panthers, and the Sabres are eliminated from playoff contention, regardless of what happens against the New York Rangers. So, the best case scenario? I kind of went through the scenarios yesterday. You need to not let either one of them get more than 1 point. One of them has to get 1 point or fewer in their final 2 games, or you're dead. So you're rooting for the Maple Leafs and you're rooting for the Capitals tonight. What are we going to get in these games? Well, let's start with Maple Leafs at Panthers. And I told you yesterday, you're not quite sure what you're going to get from these teams in terms of lineups and goalies and the decision-making when they're playing for nothing. And Toronto is playing for absolutely nothing. They're in the 2 spot in the Atlantic that is locked in. But last check of Leafs practice, just sitting here, the Leafs have everybody in their lineup. Everybody looks like they're going to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I might want to hazard to guess that they're going to be going all out. Now, I don't know what that means for goaltender. Ilya Samsonov left for a minute with an injury, maybe came back in their last game. Joseph Wall, I think, might be the guy that gets the start. That's a complete guess, though. We don't know who the Leafs starting goaltender is yet. Matt Murray's on IR. Now, some other notes from Islanders and Panthers. The Panthers, by the way, they're ready to roll. They're finally getting healthy. Anthony Duclair back in the lineup. The Panthers at home are a favorite, -150. A decent favorite to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Panthers are actually 1-1-1 this year against the Maple Leafs. So it could go either way. This is a tight game, and it's 2 great teams. One's playing for more than the other, and that's why I think you might go advantage Florida, especially since the game is down there. But it's Toronto, man. It's Toronto. It could be worse. It could be a Columbus or a Chicago, like the Penguins are going to see in the next 2 games. So it's a go Leafs game, and they're a very capable team. Even, they're going to be out there trying, and once you just get them on the ice, it's just playing hockey. So I don't tend to go as all in on once. Yeah, I think lineup decisions is more the impact of teams not having anything to play for. I think once the game begins, players are just going all out. It's just in their blood. It's the nature of the beast. So I would imagine if the Leafs are going with a full lineup like we see, and we'll see what they do in net, that they are the team to be betting on against the Panthers. Plus money, plus 125, by the way, if you're wondering more about the betting odds for this game. And in terms of the splits, where is the money going for this? At FanDuel Sportsbook, let's see. The Maple Leafs right now are receiving only 44% of the bets and 30% of the money. So that's not a good sign. The sharp money is on the Panthers in this one. So rooting for the Maple Leafs, and If the Sabres beat the Rangers and the Maple Leafs beat the Panthers in regulation, the Sabres will wake up tomorrow morning 4 points back of Florida with 2 games in hand. And that sounds great, but it's not as good as it might sound with only a couple of games left. Quick timeout, and when we come back, a quick update or preview on Islanders and Capitals. That's after this here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. All right, final segment here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. The New York Islanders, another team to watch. The Sabres are 6 points back of New York as they are Florida with 2 games in hand. They could get to 4 points back with 2 games in hand after Monday night if they get the results to go their way. Now, for this matchup, the 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 Washington Capitals will be missing their best player. Alex Ovechkin not playing in this game. He's been dealing with a nagging injury. He could play in the final 2 games, but for this game, he is not going to see action. Now, the good news, Washington is going with their number 1 goaltender. Darcy Kemper will be between the pipes for Washington in this one. But as I mentioned, no Ovechkin. So in terms of what the lines look like then for Washington, Dylan Strome with Connor Sherry and Tom Wilson up top, and then it gets thin really quick, as if Connor Sherry on the top line isn't thin enough. Second line, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Sonny Milano, and Ali Protas. Not a player I know much about. Third line, Nicholas Backstrom, Craig Smith, and Joe Snivelli. And fourth line, Nick Dowd, Beck Malestein, and Nicholas Obi-Kubel. They have made up players on the team for Washington. And then the blue line, I've talked about them before. A very weak blue line. Matt Irwin's playing for them. Now, Rasmus Sandin was a nice addition at the deadline. He's been nice. But otherwise, not a great team that the Islanders are going to see in Washington. But they are going with their starting goaltender. I mean, look at the injuries, though. Ovechkin out. Anthony Mantha out. TJ Oshie out. Trevor Van Riemsdyk out. Connor Brown out. Carl Hagelin out. It's just, I mean, that's a whole line out there that's not going to be on the ice for Washington. So you're rooting for the Capitals. They are at home. I will also say, throw it out there, that the odds in this game are in favor of the Islanders more so than they even are for the Panthers. The Islanders on the road are minus 176 to beat the Washington Capitals. So you need 2 upsets tonight, and included in that is Washington. In terms of the Islanders for this game, they will be going with their star goaltender, Ilya Sorokin, of course, as they're trying to make the playoffs. And their lines have been largely the same as of late. Bo Horvat, Simon Holmstrom, and Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, Pierre Engvall in the top 6, Jean Gabriel Pajot, Hudson Fasching, Zach Parise, third line, Casey Zizekas, Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin on the 4th line. And then you got Adam Pelech, Ryan Pulak, Scott Mayfield, Noah Dobson, Sebastian Aho, all on the blue line, and Sorokin in goal. So that's what you're looking at for the New York Islanders. So you're rooting for the Capitals. You're rooting for the Maple Leafs. The Leafs and the Capitals are underdogs, as are the Sabres. So you need 3 results to 3 upsets to all go your way. Now, I put that together as a parlay at FanDuel. What are the implied odds? So for Washington, Toronto, and Buffalo to all win, plus 1,400. And that implied probability is 7%. 1,400 is 7%. So it's a lottery ticket for the Sabres on Monday night. And we'll see if they are still alive come Tuesday, or maybe if they're even looking in decent shape by Tuesday. But there's a chance we're doing the postmortem on the playoff race on Tuesday. So go Sabres, go Capitals, go Maple Leafs, and let's see if we could get this playoff race to fight another day. And that'll get us to the Penguins on Tuesday night, who play Chicago. We can talk more about that game. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Enjoy Sabres and Rangers. All in on Jordan Greenway anytime goals. I feel very strongly about it. And you could yell at me if I'm wrong, which I very often am. So just take it with a grain of salt. Jordan Greenway anytime goal scorer. One last time. Sabres and Rangers, 7 o'clock Monday night. And we'll talk to you Tuesday, hopefully after a win here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. And after you're done making us your first listen, now go make your second listen. Locked On Game to Game. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.